No gauntlet. Welcome to my little VR world called Ancient Lizards on Meta Horizon. And today I'm going to be reviewing Orcs Must Die by the Blade for VR. So I don't really have some type of dialogue or script, so I'm going to be speaking from the heart. And if you love a game and you support the devs, you got to be honest, right? You got to be transparent. Because if you don't say your spill, then they're not going to know what the negatives and positives are from the gamer's perspective, you know? The player's perspective is what they need to know, and I'm one of them. So with that said, I personally feel that the game ranks a 2 out of 10 for me. Is that a fair score? Maybe not. I think an unbiased score would be a 6 out of 10. I have my reasons for that. But I give it a 2 out of 10 because the game felt really, I suppose the word I'm looking for is I don't really have a word. I'm trying to think of one because I got to go back and think what made the game so negative for me. I even hesitated for a week not to play this. And maybe it felt repetitive. I don't know if the level designs were meant to feel like you're in a dungeon the whole time. In the previous games, they had atmosphere. They had things to look at. Aside from that, maybe it was the gameplay. You know, and combat, you have these cool looking weapons, you know. But when you're trying to, you know, fight these orcs, sometimes you would swing at them and they would go right through them. There was no contact. The blocking was alright, but the game, honestly, the game, it feels like they made it in VR worlds like this. You know, it felt really, really like a basic VR game. But just with Orcs Must Die aesthetics, or whatever you want to call it. And I mean, if your gameplay is bad, and if your level designs are bad, and to make it worse, they last an hour. I mean, I don't know how much time it takes y'all to get through these levels. But I like to take my time. I like to get to the extras and hidden secrets or portals or whatever they have in there that I gotta find. I'm gonna take my time and look around. That's probably why I'm really good at Fallout or Skyrim or whatever, but that's besides the point. They did have a story, but I don't know how much I care about Gabriella and Maximal, or whatever his name is. Because they, compared to the other characters they've had, like in Unchained, I keep mentioning it, because I felt there was potential in that game. They could have made a story. It was like hitting the gold mine and then just putting a rock over the cave you've discovered it in. And then just resorting to this other these other characters, which I never really paid attention to. I never went out of my way to pick them, even to try them out. So why would I want to? Why would I want to try them out now? But I don't think it's Gabriella I had an issue with. I mean, I think she fits the role perfectly. Max, on the other hand, he annoys me. It's like someone that isn't funny, that's trying to be funny, and instead of being funny, if that makes sense. I just didn't find the dialogue very, or the script. I didn't find the script very entertaining. I mean, even though they had a story, it wasn't all that interesting. I was just going through the motions, trying to get through the game. You know, I guess when I purchased the game, I guess I was expecting maybe waves, something like that. You only got like 20 traps. You know, I could see if they were going to start you off with 20 traps and gradually give you more as you progress, but they didn't. And a good trap takes up like 4 slots, so you really don't have much to work with. But then again, you're not fighting hordes of orcs. It's like a handful of orcs at a time. So you're not really going to need a whole bunch of traps to get through something. So I don't know if that holds it back. But like I said, I don't think it was meant to be taken that seriously. I would consider this like their side project. They just wanted to put something in from Orcs Must Die series into virtual reality. And they did. And it's, like I said, I mean, I give it a 2 out of 10, but that doesn't mean it's bad. That's like going to an award show and they start giving out like 10 awards, you know, and you get 2. You know, it's a win still, but there's a lot missing from the game. I felt that they needed to maybe work on. Combat, they definitely needed to. More characters to choose from, more traps, and maybe just better level designs. Or just put in some atmosphere instead of people playing in a dungeon the whole time. You know, or maybe it's just the way it was set up where it didn't feel very fun. And that's why I said my 2 out of 10 probably isn't going to be the same experience as other people. You know, so that's why I say, what is the unbiased score? And why do I give it a 6 out of 10? Well, let me think. Well, they get a 1 for at least having a story and a script. And at least Gabriella and Matt, they've been consistent with those characters for years. And I gotta give them some credit for at least believing in what they are doing instead of giving up. So I definitely give them a prestigious 1 for that. I guess 2 would be weapons. At least they had an assortment of weapons to choose from and not just a couple. I mean, they even had trinkets, traps. They had the minigun was like my favorite thing to use. Maybe it's because that was the only thing that really worked, but you know, even though the weapons felt like something made in VR worlds, they were still very creative, I thought. Pretty cool. So I mean, the flamethrower, the minigun, the shotgun even, they look like really cool weaponry. You probably won't get tired of using them if you end up liking the game. I like the little you hold the trigger down for the shotgun and it builds up this powerful blast, or it feels like a grenade launcher. But anyways, so a 2 for weaponry. I give it a big 3 for having co-op. Now, if you played the game like me and didn't like it the first time, you're definitely going to like it when you play with a family member or friend who just it's just fun to go through a game with somebody, and especially in a story. They don't have that nowadays. Usually when it's co-op, it's usually like PvP stuff or player versus environment. Just stuff that bores me. Because they have a million games just like that because people are buying them for whatever reason. But when you have a game that has co-op that has you go through the now I'm just assuming this. I don't know if they have co-op and it's only for like waves, or maybe you have to face a player. I don't know, but I'm assuming it's to go through the story mode together, because it hinted at that. Because Gabriella was like with me the whole time, and the gauntlets we were both supposed to take, so I assume you could go through the story together. So that's a big win. That's a high 3. So, and I guess 4 would be for level designs and the length of them. And they made a whole bunch of levels. I mean, they could have stuck with like 4 or 5. They went the extra mile and made how many levels they have? Let me see. A lot. I forget how many they have, but it felt like a lot. And you definitely get your money's worth there. Even if the levels were set up in some way to make them long, they still put in the effort. So you can't say they don't deserve a 4 for that. And as far as 5 goes, I just felt like, even though it took place inside a castle the whole time, I felt like they got the graphics down pretty good for Orc game, of course. It felt like you were in that world for a while, and the lobby felt like a fun place to be in. I just wish there was more interaction with it, of course. And let me see. Yeah, the 5 is for at least having a lobby and game appeal, graphic-wise. It looks fun. It's a fun game to play. And voice acting. They still put in the effort for voice acting. So how can you not give them a 5? You gotta give them E for effort on that one. And I give it a 6 just for putting it in virtual reality. So I have something to do, something to talk about. At least you get Orcs Must Die and MetaQuest. So I feel like these devs are not lazy. They're definitely always trying. Sometimes they might be off on some things, but they could have given up years ago, maybe. But they're still hanging in there. They keep trying. So that's why I'm hard on them, but at the same time, I like to be fair. So my current experience with the game could change over time. Maybe it's because it just wasn't the right time for me to play, or I had something going on, but for whatever reason, it's a 2 out of 10 for me. A fair score would be a 6 out of 10, so I would definitely go out or go into virtual reality, give this game a shot, and have fun with it. Play with a friend. I would definitely recommend you play with family or friends on this. Even though the gameplay might be a little glitchy, it definitely deserves to be added to your library for sure, 100%. And I guess that wraps up everything. I guess the only other thing I could actually say, I guess it would be recommendations for what I would like to see in the next game, or maybe as DLC. So, what can I say? Hmm. I guess when it comes down to it, it all comes down to the gameplay. Because every time I felt there's another game I tried in the past, and I forget what the name of it was, or I forget the name of the game. It felt similar. It looked similar. And it only failed because the gameplay again, the way it's set up. There needs to be some type of gaming mechanics where it feels like if I'm a big character, right? Not Max or Gabriella, but they need to add in certain characters where if you're a big character and you got these huge limbs for arms, you should be able to grab an enemy like an orc, hold him up, maybe punch him, slam him, and animations for him too, or throw him against the wall. Stuff like that is fun to do. Ragdoll, mechanics. And especially when it comes to weaponry, I want my weapon to do... Every time I go to swing my weapon, I want it to hit them, no matter what. I want them to fly, especially if you're going to hit them hard. They should be able to fly up into the air and make it look like you're doing some real damage. And there's got to be hordes of orcs, and you got to give me more traps. Don't lock everything at the beginning, a lot of devs seem to think that's a good idea, but if if the best weapons are only unlocked on like the second to the last levels, you can bet your butt people are only going to play that one time. And that depends. If your game has replayability, you're okay. But in this case, I would not. You want to give them a good experience, and you want them to remember it. So it's like Resident Evil 8, I maybe played 2 or 3 times over. Maybe once. I think I only played it once. I beat the game, but my experience with it was definitely like an 8 out of 10 for me. But if they locked everything up and didn't showcase everything, it would be a lower score. This is the case for like a game that everyone can be familiar with, like WWE 2K. I haven't played it in years because the devs don't care about that game anymore. They took out a lot of things I liked about it, but one of the big issues I had with it was that they would lock everything. They would lock every superstar you wanted to try. And, if you're coming out with the same game every year, you don't want to keep doing that. But they did. So, I don't think you did that here, but I'm just letting the devs know for sure. as far as like the game itself, there needs to be more atmosphere. There needs to be day and night. There needs to be jungles, mountains areas, urban places. Just different levels, and maybe different characters to choose from. Like I said, I think there needs to be some. When as devs, you are you're the creators of everything that happens in this game. With imagination, there's no limit to what you can put in the game and what you can't. Take the boundaries off and just let your minds run free. Put in things. Think. What would be fun? What would I enjoy doing? I can give more suggestions, but I got to be reasonable and think, maybe they can't. Maybe they only have such a limited amount of things they can actually add to the game, but the one thing I would add to the game is picking certain characters and being able to, use your combat. I'm sorry, my words are all over the place. I think when I get into combat, I want to be able to feel like I'm in combat in a fun way, where every arm swing, every grab I make, I can actually feel like I'm having fun, But it wasn't the case with this game in particular. Even though you got a gauntlet and everything, I felt like that was a lost opportunity there, where at least with I didn't try it all that much, but every time I went to grab an orc or something, they would fly. So, yeah, I don't know. But, anyways, I think that's about all I have to say about Orcs Must Die in VR. Thanks for watching. I'll see you all in the next game.